Hello, lovely parents. Nice to see you here. So I have 9 of my most favourite awesome games that for me have always proved absolutely on point to share with you. Now, this category of games are what I call non-equipment games. So games ideal for sitting down, minimal movement, great for engaging children during car trips, meal times, waiting in queues for things, any dead time particularly where you need an injection of fun, focus, connection or just distraction, and which are great for maintaining calmer energy levels or raising energy levels up from kind of gloomy mood, kind of bad feeling, to feeling pretty good, pretty happy, pretty chilled. So number 1 is Who Am I? Now, this is one of my favourites. It's pretty much the game 20 questions, which I know a lot of people may have heard of. And I know in the UK, for example, people certainly play this at Christmas and stuff. But it's a great game for children to draw on their listening skills, memory, defining categories and characteristics of people to play this. How do you actually play Who Am I? One person thinks of a fictional character or well-known person in their minds, or they can write it down if they can, and they don't tell or show anybody. And the others go around in a group, taking it in turns to ask yes or no questions in order to narrow down all the options and keep going around until you eventually work out who the person is. So, is it a man? No. Are they on television? No. Do they have brown hair? Yes. Now, I suggest the asking of the questions happens in a nice organised circle, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and not some crazy free-for-all. And I also find it helpful for you to recap what you know at points throughout the game. It keeps the children on track and focused, and also, even though you're all playing individually and asking individual questions, and there's only one winner, when you do recap and lead in this way as the parent, you find that you're often playing like a team in that way, and you may want to play as a team. So, okay, we know they're a man, we know they're in a band, and we know they're blonde. Okay, your turn now, Bob. And also, remember to remind children to choose someone everybody knows. And not some random guitarist for some up-and-coming band that none of your little ones, or no adult for that matter, knows from Adam. Because I'll spare you all the breath wasted and all the games I've played where you never would have known who the person was. Hashtag bitter, yes I am. But it's a lovely, effective, simple little game that you can play pretty much anywhere. You can keep it to 20 questions if you so wish, but I find from my experience that only pressures and limits the game unnecessarily. And when you play this with children and young people, let's be honest, it's one less thing to keep track of and helps kill a little bit more time. So number 2 is What Am I? So What Am I is basically Who Am I from game 1, but cranked up a notch. Basically, it's exactly the same principle, but instead of sticking to only fictional characters and well-known people, you extend that. So it can literally be anything. So what does that mean? How do you actually play What Am I? Well, I think of anything basically in existence. So I might think of wind. As in the weather. And everybody else in the group asks yes or no questions, like in Who Am I? And goes around clockwise, anti-clockwise, remembering the answers, narrowing it down until you work out the anything that I'm thinking of. Now, of course, this is aimed more for older children and teenagers, and up to you how tricky or easy you wish to make it. You can go all out and choose anything, as I absolutely have with teenagers many a time, and that is super fun and pretty hilarious, to be honest. But if you wish to narrow it down, you can, for example, nature or objects. Now, obviously, just to warn you, this game can get a little bit obscure and conceptual at times. Once I did play this with teenagers, and one of them chose evolution. And as much as that's a brilliant and clever choice, I think it did take us a while to get there, and I think perhaps maybe we didn't even work it out in the end. But someone once thought of love, the moon, Victoria train station in London. So you can see it's a very, very interesting game, and due to its nature, quite thought-provoking, clever, and a little bit mind-expanding actually. Because having to narrow down and distinguish ideas, categories, concepts of things, of what could potentially be anything, is fascinating. Is it an object? Is it found in the home? You know, is it of practical use? Or maybe, is it a weather? Is it visible? Can you feel it? All these sorts of questions, helping your children and reminding you as well, actually, of the world you're living in and things that have been created within it, and ideas and concepts, things we use and how we're feeling. So it's a brilliant game that I couldn't recommend more. Now, number 3 is Connect. Now, Connect is a wonderful little game for you to have up your sleeve. Benefits your children by improving thinking speed and power, expanding word knowledge and levels of association between them, and yet perfectly is and feels to them and you just this super light, fun little game that's not crazy competitive or particularly deep, and yet can be played just about anywhere. So how do you play Connect? Well, Connect is a word association game. So one person starts by saying a word, any word, and you go around the group in an order, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and the next person says a connecting or associated word to the word before. So it can be like tomato, salsa, dancing. So you can keep it simply at this level, or you can add a beat and turn up the difficulty and fun rating a notch. So if you choose to do this, you do this to a beat of 4, and on the 4th beat, you'll say the next word. So potato, chips, poker. But that's the basis. It's up to you what pace you go, depending on what works for you and your family. Normally when I play, as the adult, I keep the beat, but up to you if, you know, one of your children is able and capable to keep a steady beat and play as well, whether they want to click, clap, beatbox, whatever they want and play, then go for it. So you can't you can't you can't hesitate. The word must be on the beat. You cannot repeat a word during any individual game. Each person gets 2 lives to make 2 mistakes, and on the 3rd mistake, you're out. Then the rest of the group carry on playing until there's only one person left who's the winner. Now, number 4 is sweet or sour. Now, I'm just going to take a moment because I absolutely love this game. It's not just a game, it's a way of life. I've not only played this with teenagers and young people and children, but I play this on a regular with my friends. It's so super cute and it's lovely for little ones. But as I said, I've played this with all age groups all over the world, and even when I've been traveling, I've played this with my friends, and it's such good vibes. So how do you play sweet or sour? Well, very simple. The aim of the game is to wave at somebody or a group of people that you pass when you're in a vehicle. And if they wave back, then they're sweet. And if they don't wave back, then they're sour. Now, the adult leading the game calls out the person or group of people for the rest of you to wave at. So I might say, group of mums with buggies on the right, and you wave those super crazy waves at those people. And if they wave back, you turn to the kids, yay, they were sweet. And if they don't wave back, you say, Boo, they were sour. Now, bearing in mind the nature of this game, you kind of do need to have your energy levels up there to get the momentum going. So it's a great one if you're with your partner or friends or other adults, and you've kind of feeling a bit cheeky and you've got some banter going and you want to have a joke as the adults, and you get this game started, the kids will absolutely get involved. So it's a lovely little game for feeling really, really good, and a great one for getting everyone out of their comfort zones, which I'm a huge advocate of. You know, you've got all the safety of the distance. You're behind the glass of a car window, bus window, you know, across the water in a boat, but yet connecting with them in a really sweet, simple way. And you'll be surprised once you're waving and they're waving back and they're smiling and you're not feeling super awkward anymore and you've got that momentum going and you're, you know, actually enjoying it all. You know, it's actually sweet and so magical almost how great you will begin to feel playing this. And what's extra lovely as well is the effect that you have on the people that you're waving at. You know, most people go about their day in this dreg of a haze, all in their heads, rushing around here and there, you know, not connecting with the world around them. But then one day a whole bunch of kids and adults start crazy waving at them, you know, from across the water in a boat. You know, it might make them smile. And even though they might not wave back at you, you might see them light up a little bit and you might have made their day, and how lovely is that? And also I find as humans, you know, we all have our little misconceptions. We all do it, it's human nature. But often, you know, the people that we don't perhaps expect to wave back are often the ones that surprise you. So yes, get out of your comfort zone, spread some cheer in the atmosphere and play sweet or sour. So number 5 is 2 truths and a lie, or you can play 2 lies and a truth. However you want to mix it up, that's absolutely up to you. But how do you actually play 2 truths and a lie? Well, as the name suggests, one person tells two true things about themselves and 1 lie, and the others have to guess which is the lie. Now, it can be a random statement, you know, a whole full-blown interesting anecdote, or just a simple fact. It's up to you how flamboyant and exciting you want to go with it. But I do suggest numbering them as you say them for extra clarity for everybody. So 1, I love vanilla ice cream. 2, I once swam with sharks in Africa and loved it. 3, my favourite colour is blue. Now, of course, the shorter 2 statements were pretty boring, but they're easier to lie about if you keep them simple. Little tip, but not nearly so exciting or fun for anybody else, in the slightest. Then, regardless of who gets it correct or not, you will go around the group telling your own 2 truths and a lie, and continue like that for as long as you like. So you can ask the teller to repeat any statement. So can you repeat number 2, please? And stare them down a little bit, as I love to do. But you can't ask them to explain anything further or ask any more detail. So if they do say, I hate vanilla ice cream, you can't all pipe up and say, what's your favourite ice cream then? No good cop, bad cop style questioning, everybody. You can keep scores with this game and a winner's score sheet if you so wish. But I find it's not particularly about that with this. It's more about the telling of the story, the interaction amongst you as a family, as a group. You know, sussing out each other's poker faces and the sub-communication that you're giving away as you're telling your lies and your truths. And all of that lovely stuff that comes from this game. And it's not so much about the winning and the losing, but it's up to you. If you want to keep the score sheet, you can, whether it's feasible to at the time. Because this is a beautiful game though, and if you play it to its full potential, it really does have the ability to bring the family all closer together. So connect a little bit more deeply, share more about yourselves to each other, and utilise the whole thing as an awesome springboard for, you know, sharing interesting conversation with each other. opening up more about these stories to each other, explaining the stories, the times that you've had, and using the whole thing as a way to connect more deeply. Because no matter how close you are as a family or to your children, there's always so much you don't know about each other. Even just those little things that children might experience in a whole day. Gosh, let's be honest, we all know sometimes it's like trying to get blood out of a stone, getting children to tell you about their day. It's nearly impossible. And especially for you as parents, children never know enough of your little adventures and stories. And I'm sure as adults you have loads. So it's lovely for them to get to know you more as people. So that's a wonderful little side note to the game. Though, just a little heads up, if children are sharing a story, don't make it into a little confession time because it is such a great game to bond over. And get the conversations going and get the jokes flowing and kind of get all that loveliness going between you as a family, that all of what happens from this game is so positive that you do need to maintain like that good, lovely feeling surrounding the game to sustain it. Leave it as a game, keep it light, keep it fun. And if something does come up that is a little bit dodgy, then just save it for another time. So I invite you to check out Two Truths and a Lie and share some stories and laughs together. So those are my first 5 awesome games that I hope you love. My final 4 are slightly more simple, self-explanatory little games that I'm not going to go too much depth about, but are equally just as fun and handy as any of the others. So number 6 and 7 are rock, paper, scissors and thumb war. Now, I'm sure you may know either or both of these games, and they're great little games. The main point I want to reach for here, though, is how hard you can make these little games work for you in moments of potential crisis. Because these 2 quick little games are the sort that can very, very swiftly interrupt a moment very quickly. And we all know those moments where children are starting to get a little bit bored and there's a bit of frustration lurking in the air, and the moaning levels are starting to raise. You can just feel things aren't heading down Happy Street pretty quickly. But striking with these little games before moods escalate any further can completely turn the energy around and distract that child. And Bob's your uncle, everything's simmered down. And they're fun. If you're going to try and reverse some moany, annoying, grisly behaviour, isn't it just so much sweeter to have a little bit of fun? Also, I find with these particular games, rock, paper, scissors, thumb war, is that they're great mediators. When you get the old, she did this, it wasn't fair, I was supposed to go first, and you haven't got a blinking clue because you've been too focused on doing other things, adult things, parent things like driving a car safely or whatever. So you haven't got the foggiest, to make a fair decision. I always just turn to these games. Saves you so much energy, breath, the rest of it, stress levels. Okay guys, none of this, just rock, paper, scissors it out. Or, okay, I'm going to let thumb war decide. And if you need to, you ask the children to give their agreement before they play the game. But it's a great little tool that I've used stacks of times to dissolve disputes and change up low feeling energy. And to be frank, just makes your life heaps easier. And lastly, my final games are staring competition and don't laugh competition. So staring competition, simply and pretty self-explanatorily, okay, that's not a word, entails 2 people face each other and looking into each other's eyes without blinking. And the person to go longest without blinking wins. Don't laugh competition entails 2 people face each other and look at each other without smiling or laughing. And the person to last the longest without smiling or laughing wins. Now, great games for focus. Staring game, better for maintaining calmer energy levels, and don't laugh game is actually great for bringing energy levels up, because no matter how miserable you're feeling, it's almost magical. The minute somebody says, look at their face and don't laugh, all you want to do is laugh, and for no apparent reason whatsoever. So check out those little games as well. But yes, those were 9 of my fail-safe games I utterly love, and have always lent upon whenever the moment calls. Try them out for yourself and see how they open up to more connection and fun between you as a family, as well as killing time. But many thanks everybody. Goodbye.